Today, we're going to be ranking possibly my favourite horror franchise of all time. I am a huge fan of the Friday the 13th movies. I think it's a little bit unfair, Jenks, that we get to individually rank the Nightmare movies, but we've got to shove all the Fridays in one video.
Well,
what's that about?
Well, there is 12 Friday films. It's a shame it's not 13. It's so close. Just make one more. Freddy's better. Let's be honest. Come on. We'll soon find out now with the ranking.
Shut up. Ridiculous statement, Jenks. Ridiculous statement.
It is. Look, does Jason ever play with a remote control and control one of his victims? Yeah, exactly. And also, when it's Freddy versus Jason, Freddy gets top bill. Freddy versus Jason, not the other way around. Okay?
Yeah,
Simple
because it was a Nightmare movie, really, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Come on.
bollocks.
It was a Nightmare. They owned more rights to Nightmare, so they had to put Freddy first, you know.
Should we get cracking?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So you want to go first, Kurt? What's your weakest of the franchise?
Okay, this is going to be no surprise to you, Jenks. We rewatched it on the weekend, first time in a long time now. I never really wanted to go back to this one, but I thought I'd give it a rewatch because it's the only one I was foggy on before we did this ranking, and it's Jason X in absolute last spot for me. The worst Friday the 13th movie.
Yeah, I gotta say, I was bigging it up, and then we watched it, and yeah, I'm willing to admit defeat. So that's the last of the bunches, eh? Fair play, right?
That's going in absolute last place.
Right,
for me, there's no redeeming factors in this one.
Okay, no redeeming factors. Jesus,
no, not
coming
really.
from you.
There's a few good kills, but even the lesser Friday the 13th, they have some redeeming factors, which we can get into.
Yeah.
But Jason X last.
Right, my last place is Friday the 13th Part 5. Jason's not even in it. Stupid copycat killer. He's the copy. You don't even see the copycat with the mask on. If you had the mask on, he was killing people. I would have enjoyed it. But yeah, I know they were trying to do something different because for some reason they killed him off in the fourth one. Why? Even though they made this next one really quick. It's really strange.
Well, it was supposed to be the last one, wasn't it?
Yeah, but
things change.
But it came out a year later, so they changed their mind pretty quick, didn't they?
No, it was filming side by side with Part 4.
Back to back, yeah. Yeah. Right, I'm going to stick this last. Yes. What about you? Next on the list.
Next on the list?
From worst to best.
Yes, from worst to best. I wouldn't put Jason X in first.
Yeah, that's a good point. Or Part 5.
We don't need to keep... Right, we're not going to have to keep reminding people in what order we're doing it. They'll figure it out.
I don't know, man. They know how shit your taste is, so they might think, oh my God, it's got even shitter.
Right.
Come on.
I'm getting proper classy now because in my next spot, I've got Jason Goes to Hell.
Oh, okay.
I hate this movie. I hate it a little bit less than Jason X, but I remember putting this one on when I was a kid, thinking I was going to get a Friday the 13th movie, and Jason's not in it, so he gets obliterated at the start of the film, and then this doctor is dissecting his body and ends up eating his heart, I think, and then Jason goes into his body, and I think he swaps a few bodies as the film goes along. But for me, give us Jason. Don't make another one unless you're going to figure a way to bring Jason into the movie. It's ridiculous, in my opinion.
It's a funny one because I always thought it was just a cool title, but
it is a cool title.
New Line sort of bought the rights of Friday 30 Jason, but they didn't have the rights to the Friday 30 title. That's why it's Jason X, Jason Goes to Hell, and then I think they were half-us basically when Freddy versus Jason came out. But yeah, it isn't a very good film. But yeah, so my next one is you're gonna laugh. Jason all that talk and it's got
all that talk, Jenks.
All that talk, yeah. I listen, it was a bit sci-fi channel, like you said, the music. I know he was trying to be a bit tongue-in-cheek, but it's a bit like when somebody's like making fun of you and they're pretending it's banter, but really you can see you're taking the piss, and this was a bit oh, we're taking the piss. It's like, Ivy just made a shit film.
It's an excuse to make a shit film, innit?
Yeah, it's like when a film rips off another film and then mentions that film and like, oh no, we're not ripping it off. We mentioned it. It's like, no, you still ripped it off. You know.
Yeah,
Yes. What's
spot
your
on.
next then?
So my next spot is Friday the 13th Part 5. Now this is by far my least favourite of the original bunch. It's just mad to think that they followed this one up with Part 6,
Yeah.
which is one of the better ones. I hate this film, and it's not just the reveal that Jason's not the killer, it's a copycat killer. I think it's a weak film overall, like you said. You don't really see much that goes on. The only thing I do love about it, and that's why it's above Jason X and Jason Goes to Hell, it's got the essence of Friday the 13th. It's got good characters. And there is some stuff to like in this one, but overall, it's not one I go back to very often.
Yes, it is a weak one. Right, for me, next on my list is Part 7. Can we find it? So many films here.
It's that one, Jegs, you just on it.
There. Oh, yeah. Okay. Part 7. Now, there's the only good thing about this movie, okay, is Jason. Kane Hodder's first appearance. Although I don't know the name guy did number 6, you probably know. You probably met him. But number 7, it's the best Jason's ever looked. His mask is the best it's looked. It's like bluey, as if it's like a blue sort of dirty colour, as if it's been underwater for a long time. The kills are amazing. The sleeping bag kill is incredible. But the story with the telekinetic woman is so fucking bad. Honestly, she's a terrible actress. The doctor, Dr. Cruz, is it? Something like that. He is dreadful. He plays Bernie from Weekend at Bernie's, which I couldn't get it in my head. It was like, I know that guy. I had to Google it. I was like, oh, I can imagine him with his dead.
Imagine hiring a guy who plays a dead guy, play a living guy.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, but he was in Weekend at Bernie's. Yeah, but he didn't have any lines.
No. And that film is so bad. And I don't know why they did this stupid psyche thing, because you know, her house is all of a sudden right by lake where Jason died. I'm thinking, when Jason died in the water, I don't remember us being right by there.
Yeah.
And then at the end, spoiler alert, she brings her dad back from the dead in the lake and he saves her. I'm like, what the fuck? Oh, he's not even rotten. I call bullshit.
Crazier things have happened.
Yeah. What's your next one then, Kurt?
Friday the 13th Part 7. A little bit further ahead than you, but yeah, this is when the franchise started to go really downhill for me. I think they were clutching at straws at this point. Like you said, Jenks, it is by far the best Jason's look. In Hodder's first performance as Jason Voorhees. I love the rip claws, the exposed spine at the back. The mask is amazing, and even the scars that are left previous films are now like horrible and marked over. He looks amazing in it. I feel like they spent all the budget how Jason looked. Now, the whole telekinesis thing, they started developing this one as Freddy versus Jason.
Right.
It fell through, it didn't happen, and they kept a lot of the elements that they had in their previous script. So that's why he's got powers, and they wanted Jason to go up against someone who could match him with powers also. And that's where the powers come from, basically. But they should have just scrapped it all together if they weren't getting Freddy, because this is an extremely weak movie.
Yeah.
And I used to love this one, right? I've got about 4 different figures of this Jason from when I was a kid, right? I loved it. I rewatched them all maybe last year. And I was like, oh my God, I was so disappointed because I loved this one.
Yeah, and I don't mind seeing his mask off, but I wish it was a little bit more sparingly, you know. Maybe like just
it was a cool scene, though.
A few glimpses of it. Yeah, it was a good effect as well when the mask rips off. But yeah. Okay, so next on my list is Jason 9. Jason Goes to Hell. No, I don't hate this as much as you, because I watched it the other day and I was going to skip it because I used to own it, so I was pretty clued up in it. So I didn't feel like I needed to do any research for this, but I rewatched it and I totally agree. Jason's not in it and you feel a bit robbed, but the kills are top notch. There's actually some humour in it. The dialogue is relatively good, and yeah, the practical effects are great. Jason looks pretty good when you do see him, but it's just a bit nonsense, really. But
it's my least favourite looking Jason, with the fat puffy suit and the mask engraved into his skin and the long hair coming out.
Yeah.
I hated. In fact, actually, I'm glad Jason's not in it. It's going to look like that in film.
I didn't mind it. I like the swollen look, but there we are. What's your next one, Kurt?
In next place, I've got the remake.
Oh, right.
So this one is right. So anything after this one now is where I start to like them a bit more, right? Because I'm not a massive fan of the remake. I haven't watched it in a long time. I do need to rewatch it, but when it came out, it didn't do much for me. They shoved a few films into one. Jason's too big and fast, and I just felt like everything that was great about the originals was stripped from this one. Now, I know a lot of people are coming round to this one. I do need to give it a rewatch, but when I first watched it and a couple of times after, it's just never stuck with me.
Yeah, fair enough. Right, my next one is, you're going to be mad at me, but I don't care. Let me find it. Part 2.
Bullshit.
Right. I'm not. I love the character Jason. Okay, genuinely, I think he's badass. Certain movies he's in, especially the Kane Hodder era. But I'm not a big fan of films in general. I like a bit of death, but they are, to me,
I like
weak.
a bit of death.
Like a bit of death.
I don't mind a bit of death.
But I just think I know they're of the team, but this one was a bit shoddy. I didn't like the sack on the head. I know they were still trying to figure out Jason, and obviously it's a bit of a progression. But the sack looked shit. He didn't look menacing. He was a bit bumbling and falling, and yeah, it's not my cup of tea. But it's at least it's not last on the list.
Yeah, I suppose we got to take the little wins, haven't we?
Yes, the little wins. What's your next one, Kurt?
Right, in next place, we've got Friday the 13th, Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. Now, this is crazy because this was one of my lesser favourite ones growing up, because I loved Camp Crystal Lake so much, right? And I didn't like that they were taken away from there. But watching this one as an adult, I have a hell of a good time with it. I love that it's a bit different. Jason's great in it. I love the setting on the boat, or the ship. What are we going to call it? A boat or a ship? Who knows?
Ship.
And then, we get a few cool scenes in Manhattan. I know Jason Goes to Manhattan, the cover's got him overseeing New York. We don't get much of that, but we do get some cool scenes. And I think this one is hell of a fun movie.
Yeah, I used
How
to
about
love
that scene where he's like squaring up to Jason, and he gives him about 20 free punches, and then he just one punch head off.
It's a cool scene, but I gotta say, if I were running away from Jason in New York, one of the biggest, busiest cities in the world, I wouldn't be climbing up a fire escape and hiding on a rooftop. I just keep running in.
Yeah.
I'd be fine. There's a scene in that I used to love it as a kid. I didn't care that he was only in New York for like 5 minutes. I think he just took some photos from the boat. That counts. So a bit where, like, when they arrive in New York, which is clearly not New York at the first bit, where they're in these alleyways, and it's like they're just running around alley. Like, why are you in alley still? Just keep going. It'll lead to a street, like. And the girl gets kidnapped by like not gangsters, like druggies. And then the teacher, sorry, I've forgotten his name now, Charles. He says, "Right, let's split up." I'm like, it's not fucking Scooby-Doo. Why have you split up? Like, just fucking find her or call the police. It's ridiculous. Anyway.
Hey, you've hijacked my pick, boy.
Sorry.
You're not going to have anything to talk about when you pick yours.
I know, yeah, right. I was going to say, like, let's just talk when we pick, but I couldn't resist. Right, my next on the list is Part 3. I'll find it. Right, Part 3. Now, I liked this more than you thought I would, because I didn't really like the second one much, and you thought I was going to slag off this. But this was better film. It might be because I love his mask. It's not Jason with that hockey mask. The kills were better. He was a bit better. I could feel that they were kind of finding who Jason is. It took them like 3 films. most franchises only last 3, and they took like 3 films to get it right. But you could see that this was truly the birth of Jason that we know today, I would have thought.
Oh yeah, definitely. This was one of my favourite ones growing up. I do love part three, but I will talk about it when I come to it.
It's a strange one because it's 3D as well, and you can see all the things that they were
The gimmicks,
push.
like.
Yeah, it's fucking shit. What's your next one, Kurt?
I've just done 8. Yeah, so my next pick is Freddy versus Jason.
All right.
Now, this one is a little bit high up, but the rest of the Friday the 13th movies to me are top tier. I do really like Freddy vs. Jason. I remember this movie coming out, and it was Overload. Like, we were going to get a movie with Freddy vs. Jason in there. I remember seeing the trailer for the first time, and then watching it for the first time, and it blew me away. It hasn't aged greatly. There are some shoddy stuff in it, some stuff that don't make sense, some shoddy special effects, specifically when Freddy turns into the bong smoking caterpillar thing. But I rewatched it for the first time in a long time a couple of days ago, and I still had such a good time with it. Jason's awesome in there, Freddy's great, and you'd be surprised how well these two match up together considering how different their films are.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. Right, my next one is where am I now? Again, you're going to shout at me again, but it's part one. Now, I'll be honest, okay? I don't really like this film. It's quite high on the list because of respect. Like an old granny that you gotta respect because old. I like Pamela as a villain. Like, she's quite scary. I like female villains. Obviously, it's only revealed that she's a woman right at the end, so she's not like a terrifying force like Annie or something. But she is a good killer, and it's a good finale. But it's not a Jason movie, so I've never really liked it. I respect the effects, the practical effects, I love all things, but yeah, I don't really like rewatching this. I watched it recently, and I was like, ugh, I was waiting, like I couldn't wait for Jason to pop up in the later ones,
Yeah. I'm not going to shout you, Jenks, because in next place I've got Friday the 13th 1.
Oh, fair play. We're almost on a
No.
par.
Like you, Jenks, I've never been a huge fan of the first one. I do love Jason too much to truly enjoy the first one.
Yeah.
I really love what Tom Savini did with this one. It was really early in his career. He's pulled off some insane effects in this one, specifically Kevin Bacon getting the dagger, the arrow through his neck in bed. The neck slicing, it was revolutionary, and they made this on the back of Halloween because they wanted to cash in that slasher trend.
Yeah.
And they did an insane job at cashing in on that trend, considering they didn't have a script, they just had kills. Pamela didn't come to the movie until everything was done. It was just an idea they had at the end of the film just to tie it all together, to make a story. Tom Savini created Jason. One day they all went off set. They came back the next day and he had built a model of Jason, and he told them, this is Jason, he drowned in the lake and his mother's come back for revenge. And that's how they got the story, which is insane. These guys were cowboys just trying to make a film, trying to get a bit of money, and somehow managed to create one of the biggest franchises of all time.
Yeah.
I have mad respect for the movie in that sense, but as a Friday the 13th movie, if you look at the franchise as a whole, I'm not that fussed on it.
Yeah, I like stories like they call them the guerrilla shoots, where they just like wing it, and most of the time that is not a good idea. But I love when things like that come together, because believe it or not, Iron Man 1 was a guerrilla shoot as well. They were in it as they were filming it. That's mental, isn't it?
Yeah,
I love it when it comes together. But if we ever make a film, let's plan it out properly.
definitely.
Okay,
we're not talented enough to guerrilla it.
No, although we do guerrilla most things we do. Right. Next one on my list is Part 8. Where are we? Part 8.
Nice.
Now,
okay.
I waffled on about this. I do love this film. I like Jason in it. I don't understand. He's got a new mask because his mask was destroyed in number 7. But I don't understand why he still got that slice down it from a previous film. Did I miss it? That little sort of like scar on it.
No, you didn't miss anything.
Yeah, that's a plot hole, isn't it?
It's just the way it goes.
I think with these films,
you can't call it a plot hole if it's planned. Do you know what I mean? Like, they didn't think they could get away with it, or they didn't notice it. They went, "Oh fuck, his mask broke. This is a new one." No, it was intentional. You can't call it a plot hole.
I think with Jason, they're just like, who gives a shit? He's just come back from the dead with electricity. He was a zombie, then he's not. They're like, who gives a fuck about it?
Yeah, and you don't know what's happened between 7 and 8. He could have been they could have made another 3 movies in between then that they never released, you know?
Well, they should have had him banging his head on something sharp. They go, you bastard. Oh, same scar. What are the odds?
You bastard.
You bloody bastard, my head. What's your next one?
Right. So in
The last one
4th
was
place,
number 1.
I don't know. The numbers are in all weird now because I've ranked it 1 to 12. But next spot is Part 2. Now, I really like Part 2. I actually like the look of Jason in this one. Although I do prefer the hockey mask, don't get me wrong. I do like the look of this one. And it's got some of the best kills, specifically the wheelchair kill, the machete in the face, and then that great scene where it's clearly a dummy bouncing on a wheelchair going down the steps. It's so funny.
Yeah.
And you've got a great finale as well where she puts Pamela's clothes on and pretends to be his mother, entices him to get down on his knees, and then she kills him. And I love that Jason's got long ginger hair and he looks like a proper hillbilly. This one also feels like a bit of a killer shoot. It feels like they didn't really know what they wanted to do with it, and they hadn't really found his feet. But I've always loved it one, and it was always nice to go from 1 to 2 where Jason was actually in there.
Yeah, I just think his mask, I felt sorry for the actor because he had a hole in it, and if it shifted slightly, you'd be like, where the fuck have you gone? Hey! Hey, come here, I got a machete for you. Right, my next one is, I'm losing track where I am now. What was my last one? 8. The remake. So
Okay.
now when I first watched the remake, I kind of slagged it off. I considered it one of the weaker remakes in that sort of wave of remakes. There were some good ones like Texas Chainsaw, The Ring, Dawn, Hills of Ice. This came out and I was like, it's not so good. I liked the fact he could run because it does bother me when these killers are slow. And I'm like, you know what? Just run away from him. It's easy peasy. But I liked it. I didn't like the fact he wasn't a zombie. I like him as a zombie. But I watched it recently. And I have to say I was harsh on it originally because it is a decent film. And it's worth revisiting, I think. Definitely.
I definitely am. Arrow Video have just released it on 4K, so I'll probably pick that up and I'll definitely give it another watch. I mean, I've ranked it where it is, and bear in mind I haven't seen this film in maybe 10 years, Jenks. Maybe over 10 years. So I definitely need to give it a rewatch, but I don't have fond memories of it.
Yeah. Okay, what's your next pick then, Kurt?
Right, next pick, so we're in our top 3 now. So I'll be in 3rd place. I've got Friday the 13th, Part 3. Always loved this one. My top 3. Growing up, I was always switching between the 3 of them as to which one was my favourite. I love this one. Obviously, it's the first time we get proper Jason. He gets the hockey mask. I love the 3D gimmick kills, and I love the way Jason looks. I love the kills in it, and it is easily one of the best ones. It is one of the better Friday the 13th movies. It has dropped a little bit on rewatch as an adult, but always loved this one.
Yes, cool. My next pick is, I think people can see which ones are left. Freddy versus Jason. So I didn't like this when it first came out. I really didn't. I slagged it off. I didn't like the silliness. Like, a part of the reason I kind of fell out of love with Freddy, he got too silly. I love the first one, love the third one. I don't mind a little bit of silliness, but it was overkill. And I thought, they're rebooting it with verses, and they just kept all the cheesiness of his character. Now I rewatched it recently with fresh eyes, and I have to say I enjoyed it much more. I think I enjoyed it more because Jason was brilliant in it. He was the best thing in it.
It's so good.
I liked Demon Freddy, the red one.
Right at the end, yeah.
Yeah, I liked Freddy at the start when he sees his teeth are jagged, although he doesn't have them all the way through, which is strange, and his eyes different. But the kills were good. Like I said, the CGI monster things, talking potish rubbish.
That's a cringe moment for me.
Yeah, I don't like Freddy being a fighter, throwing like flying knees and stuff. He's meant to be like a paedophile. Like, he used to have an ice cream van in luring kids. He can't do martial arts and Krav Maga and stuff. It's ridiculous.
Krav Maga.
It's just like, but Jason is awesome. The kills, when they're having that rave in the field and Jason turns up, brilliant.
Oh my God, it's epic.
I don't, I love, I don't
With
know
his
why.
flaming machete.
It's
So
just great.
good.
I liked when he's in a van and they've tranquilized him. I thought that was quite cool. I don't know why they want to give a zombie mouth to mouth.
Yeah, completely unnecessary.
Yeah, and I didn't the bit. I know I'm sagging off. It's quite high on the list, but I didn't like the fourth wall shit where Freddy's kind of like talking to us like, "Not strong yet. Soon I will be." Like, oh, I was like, "Oh, for fuck's sake!" Like, it's just too much. Like, it's like dead.
Have I fallen asleep?
Yeah. So yeah, but it's high on the list because I did enjoy it more than the other ones, and Jason is badass in this. So he will probably include this on our Freddy tier one day. So it'll probably be lower on the list if that makes sense.
Of course. Right. So last but one, I've got Jason Lives, Friday the 13th Part 6. My top two are very close. These are the two definitive Friday the 13th movies. I think a lot of people will agree. Jason Lives is so much fun, but it keeps those great horror elements. Tom Matthews is fantastic as Jarvis. Tommy Jarvis. It's got a great score. It's just a great 80s horror movie, and it's the first one to add proper silliness, but it's a great mix between the two. Jason gets resurrected with electricity. For some reason, Tommy decides to dig him back up just to double check he's dead.
It's so stupid.
Leave sleeping dogs lay. I just love it. It's when they went, right, have a bit of fun with this franchise. I mean, the one of the opening scenes is Jason doing 007. He walks on screen and
God.
it's so good. Like, I love this film. It dropped to second place on rewatch, but I absolutely love this one.
Awesome. Right. In my last but one place is, spoiler alert for everyone who can just see the screen. It's part 4.
Yes.
Now, this is a very good film. It's the best of the early ones, obviously. It's a shame. It's a shame it was kind of the last, because it felt like a proper like movie. The other ones felt messy and a bit cheesy and a bit naff. Jason finally looked cool. He was moving better. The kills were better. The characters were better. You had Corey Feldman in it. It's a great kid in it. You had Crispin Glover doing his famous dance. Nobody can do that dance.
Nobody can do that dance.
It's the best dance ever. I bet you somebody could on YouTube, but it's like with Van Damme in like Kickboxer. You can do his dance, but you cannot do Crispin Glover's dance. Yes, I like this film. I know you raved about it, and I think you were quite nervous when I was watching it, because
definitely.
you thought I'd be like, Kurt, this is shit. But it is a decent film, and I have to rate it quite high. All right, so shock horror. What's your top spot?
Right, in top spot as well is Jason Lives. So I've got Jason Lives in first and second place.
Is that good?
Right, so this one for me is it is my favourite slasher movie of all time. If I could erase all the other Friday the 13th movies to keep this one, I would. Don't know why that would ever be an option. I'm just saying. But I love this movie. This is the one I always go back to. Now and again, I will crave the franchise, right? But I'll always just go back and watch Friday the 13th Part 4 as a single movie. You can do that. You don't need to watch them in order. A lot of them jump from different places. But yeah, Friday the 13th is amazing. Tom Savini really outdone himself this one. I think it's one of the bigger aspects in the movie that I love. Tom Savini's work. After this movie, he became a superstar. He was on all the big talk shows in America, showing people how the hell he did all the shit he did in this one. It's my favourite Jason, my favourite mask. I love that the guy, I can't remember his name, played Jason. He's like a 6-year-old retired stuntman. And you've got Jason jumping through windows. They've got the only Friday the 13th where the kills make me wince. You've got the corkscrew kill.
Yeah.
It's just, for me, a perfect slash movie. I feel like they really found their foot in this one. They knew what they wanted to do. Obviously, with Tom Savini coming back as well, it was just going in the right direction until it dropped off.
Yeah, cool. Right. My last pick, surprise, surprise, is number 6. Do you know what? Looking at these now, one of them clash. We're completely different, but they're all kind of not a million miles away from each other, our list. So number 6 is my favourite by far. Like you said, with the James Bond opening, which is so bonkers, digging him up, and the ridiculousness of it, where They dig him up. He's completely rotten. Like there's nothing left of him basically. And when he gets reanimated by
He's stacked, like.
he's stacked. He's just somehow just been to the gym. He's in good nick, and strong. I don't know how lightning works, but apparently it can make you like jacked. The way Jason in this was was when I think obviously my favourite is Kane Hodder number 7, but Kane Hodder wouldn't Jason without the guy's performance for number 6. I don't know who the actor is, the Jason's actor.
Graham Hall or something. Graham Scott.
Because the way he moves now, obviously they came out before Batman, 89 Batman, Tim Burton one. But when Batman moves and he can't turn his head and his whole body turns and the camera pans, Jason moves the same way and it reminded me a lot of Batman. And he's just a badass. The kills are great. The kill he does to that cop and just squashes him.
Yeah, it's so good.
Folds him. It's amazing. Tom Matthews is great. A little bit irritating. I'd lock him up as well.
Kind of like Return of the Living Dead. He's super irritating in that.
Yeah.
It's good irritating characters, like.
But do you know what's so frustrating about this film is that they just nailed this film and then they fucked the next one. I'm like, you had a formula. All you had to do was bring him back with some more electricity. Who gives a shit? There's plenty of electricity around. Just fucking do something.
Yeah.
But yes, that's our list then. I wonder if any of you guys agree. It's a good one.
Yeah, to be honest, I'm surprised we weren't that far off with some of our picks. There are some weaker films in this franchise, I get it, but I love it as a whole. Jason X, you can take that one and leave it, I don't care. But I had a good laugh doing that one, Jenks. I think we would definitely need to do a Nightmare on Elm Street one soon.
I think that you were ready to get angry at my choices, when you. And I don't. I think you were primed, like, I better not.
I'd written down insults for each film, so whenever you were going to slag off one film, I had an insult written out ready.
Yes. Right, guys. If you enjoy ranking, movie reviews, anything to do with horror, please subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one. Cheers, guys.
Cheers, guys.